Pete will not only have to keep the faith, but keep the locker room tuned in.
Our defense has done good with such change and getting them the ball back.
But when you look at the guys who forced the most missed tackles, he is already number 3 in the league.
Hey, what's going on, Raider Nation? Welcome to another episode of Upon Further Review, brought to you by Coors Light. I'm your host, Paul Gutierrez. And we got a big show again today, but we've got to kind of look back at what happened this past weekend. Not a lot of good things happened. Actually, not very many good things happened at all. Raiders lose in Indianapolis 40-6. They dropped their 4th straight game after that very clutch season-opening win in New England. It seems like things are kind of going in the wrong direction here, but we got to figure out exactly why. Geno Smith, he was 25 of 36, 2 more interceptions against the Colts. That gives him 9 for the season. He's leading the league in interceptions. What can he do to get out of that rut right now? But coming up, a very winnable game at home against the Tennessee Titans. They've come off their first win of the season, a very dramatic, very strange, very bizarre win for them at Arizona. Here to help me break down what we just witnessed in Indianapolis, but also try to figure out what the Raiders can do to get on the right side of the win column is my good friend James Jones, former Raider receiver. James, thank you so much for joining us here again. I guess we'll just start off with this. What did we just see happen in Indianapolis when it came to this Raiders team?
We've seen a football team really not get off the bus, man, on both sides of the ball, if I'm just being completely honest. When you go on the road, you got to get off that bus with a lot of energy, and it's 2 things that have to travel, and that's defense and special teams. And special teams did not show up, and then you cannot turn the football over, man. That's multiple weeks that we continue to lose the turnover battle. If we continue to lose the turnover battle, we're not going to win too many games. And to be honest with you, no team in the league is going to win too many games. I don't care if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, Green Bay Packers, whoever you think is good. If you lose the turnover battle, you're not going to have a chance to win the football game. We have to take care of the ball. We have to be better on special teams.
When I was in that locker room after the game, James, it was a combination of guys were confused, guys were angry, guys were confused because they were angry, guys were angry because they were confused. There was a lot of mixed emotions in there, and especially when you look at the way they started. The defense, it comes out, it pitches a 3-and-out. The offense, it drives 80-plus yards, takes up almost 10 minutes off the clock. Special teams even converts a field goal. Yeah, you want a touchdown there instead of a field goal, but it seemed like they were off to a good start. And then just as soon as it was over. 6 straight drives by the Colts resulted in touchdowns against that Raiders defense. And when you're saying guys aren't getting off the bus or not showing up, I mean, how do you wrap your mind around that, learn from it, flush it, and then go forward from that?
Well, one thing I know about playing the game is the biggest thing that you have in a football game is in-game adjustments, right? It's some elite coaches with in-game adjustments, and it's some coaches that are not good with in-game adjustments. If you can be really good at in-game adjustments, you're going to have a chance to win some of these games. These last 4 weeks, we have not been good with in-game adjustments. Not coming out of half, not after the first drive, not finishing the game. The other team is doing a better job with us with adjustments. Okay, the Raiders came down the first time they got the ball, and they ran the ball well, getting the ball out Geno Smith's hands quick to Ashton Jeanty, and they took that away. Now you're going to have to beat us with your arm down the field, and we didn't really have no answer for that. And then same thing defensively, right? They came out, they got the ball out of Daniel Jones's hands, and they just started nickel and dime 5 yards, turning into 20 yards, and we never challenged them, got up in their faces, made adjustments. We just let Daniel Jones nickel and dime us the whole game. And obviously, JT, Jonathan Taylor, ran the ball extremely well. So we have to do better with our in-game adjustments, man, because that is the football game. You scripted your first 15, boom. After them first 15, hey, we reaction now. What we seeing?
Yeah, so what we're going to see now is a Titans team coming in that's also 1-4, but their 1-4 is going to feel a little different than the Raiders 1-4, right? Because they're coming off their first win of the season, very dramatic fashion, very strange, 22-21. Please tell me, James, that you never dropped the ball before crossing the plane of the end zone in your career?
I would be lying if I tell you I did, but mine was a little different. Mine was a little different, though. I reached for the pylon.
Okay.
Tried to
That's
score.
different.
And they hit my arm and the ball went out the back. But no, never running wide open and I'm flicking the ball before I'm in the end zone. Now, that's just wild, man. I mean, to be honest with you, my kids is 13 and 12, and they wouldn't even do that, man. Like, get your butt in the end zone. I don't care what dance you got. I don't care what celebration you got. Get your butt in the end zone with the ball.
So when it comes to the Titans coming in now, the Raiders have won 3 of the last 5 matchups against the Titans. Like I said, they're coming off their first win. What do you see from this Titans team, especially they're coming in with the number 1 overall draft pick, Cam Ward, quarterback. What do you see not only from an analyst standpoint, but from a receiver standpoint too, as far as what he brings to the game and what the Raiders need to be aware of?
Nothing.
Okay.
Right. To be honest with you, I'm a huge fan of Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward's going to be a legit quarterback in our game. Watching him play the game, I'm watching him early and I'm like, okay, this is a quarterback that is making his receivers better, putting the ball in only spots to where they can get it, throwing the ball on time, being able to get outside the pocket and make some plays on the run. Yes, his team is not that good. Has he been sacked? Has he been hit? Has he struggled a little bit? Absolutely. That's year 1 rookie quarterback type stuff. But the ceiling is going to be very high for this young fella. But, I don't piggyback on what I said. Nothing. We are a better football team, and we got to go play like we're the better football team, because it's a couple games this year that I felt like we were the better football team and we walked off that field with the L. Chicago Bears being one of them. I feel like we were the better football team. This is another one of those games to where I feel like we are the better football team. We gotta play the way we're capable of playing. I don't care what the stats are, what none of that is. We got to go out there and we got to put some good tape out there. We got to let people know that we capable of playing some good football.
Well, one of those guys on the Raiders side that's putting out that good tape now and showing some consistency, especially the past few weeks, Ashton Jeanty, their rookie, their number 1 draft pick. He's tied with Trey Tucker for the most touchdowns on the team. He's got 4. He's 8th in the NFL in rushing yards, 349. And despite all the concerns through those first few weeks of the season, I did the math here, and maybe Cynthia could correct me on it because she knows math better than I do. He's on pace for over 1,200 yards rushing right now. What are you seeing from the growth of him, besides that he's just standing up now and doing the Michael Myers stance when he's getting the handoff?
Yeah, well, I'm seeing him settle in, and I think that's what the Raiders are doing offensively. They're giving him touches early and often. And when you have a bell cow like Ashton Jeanty who can catch the ball out the backfield, run the ball in between the tackles, who can do it everything, you have to give him volume. You have to give him touches so he can get in the rhythm in the football game and be able to run through tackles, to be able to get comfortable and make some plays. And I think that's the last couple of weeks, I think that's what we've seen. We've seen him get the volume up. We've seen him give him the ball, and he's just doing what he does, man, what he did in college. We're watching it in the National Football League right now. And to be honest with you, that needs to be the formula. Start with 2, all right? When we get off the bus, all right, when you drive to the stadium, start with 2. Get 2 to football, and let's get this ball out of Geno Smith's hands fast so he's not forcing any footballs down the field. And I think we can have some success that way.
And I think that's what we saw a lot, too, that very first offensive snap where he finds Ashton Jeanty down the right sideline on an acrobatic catch. Ashton is the first Raiders rookie since Hunter Renfrow with consecutive games of at least 100 yards of total offense. So there's something to build there. Something else to build on. Breaking news here, James. I don't know if you saw it or not. Michael Mayer cleared concussion protocol. He will play this weekend. All things going well. So that's going to help out not only offensively, but special teams out there on his spot where he's blocking, where some unfortunate things have happened. But there's still some reliable pieces out there. Brock Bowers is going to be a day-to-day situation. Michael Mayer's coming back. Jacoby Myers, he's leading the team in targets, 39, receptions, 25, receiving yards, 290. Trey Tucker, again, he's the only receiver with a touchdown. He's got 4 of them. And Ashton, he's 8th in the NFL in rushing yards. These pieces here are there. The names are there. And again, the stats are there, so to speak. What do they need to do to be more consistent against the Titans?
They need to get them the ball in open space, and they need to stay ahead of the sticks. Our offense is very, very good when we're ahead of the sticks. And what I mean by ahead of the sticks is no 3rd and 11, no 3rd and 12, no 2nd and 14. We're 2nd and 7. We're 3rd and 4. We're 3rd and 5, to where we can get to really everything we want to get to in the playbook. You have guys on the outside that have speed. You have guys on the outside who can run routes, who can create separation off the line of scrimmage. You have a running back that can run in between the tackles and catch out of the backfield. You have 2 really good tight ends, and I know they've both been banged up, but everything is there. It's about staying ahead of the sticks, Geno Smith making the throws and not turning the football over. And if we can do that, we'll be just fine, man. And like I said, last week, it is okay to punt. Send your defense out there, Max Crosby and those boys out there, and let them try to defend.
Yeah, I guess the question would be who's going to be doing the punting. We got to keep an eye on A.J. Cole after the injury he suffered. But, the Titans, they pay their guys too. And on defense, they've got a guy out there that can make some things happen for them on the interior. Jeffrey Simmons, he's set to bring that pressure against Geno and the guys. He leads the Titans in sacks, 3.5. Tackles for loss, he has 6. And he's got a forced fumble already, too. When you see Jeffrey Simmons out there kind of trying to wreck a game from the interior, how then can an offense alleviate that? How can it counter him wrecking things from the interior?
Well, Jeffrey Simmons is going to wreck something against every team.
Yeah.
And I don't care who that team is. So, it's just like anything, man. When you have a dominant pass rusher, you give him extra attention. You have a dominant guy in the middle, you give him extra attention. So the double teams need to be on him. Maybe we run away from him, some tosses, some stretch zones, getting away from him to be able to get Ashton Genty going. But, he is one of the best D tackles we have in our game for a reason. Explosive off the line of scrimmage, uses his hands really, really well, and he's extremely athletic. So we just got to make sure we got 2 guys on him at all times, making sure we're big and physical with him up front. But, let's run away from him a little bit. You know what I mean? Let's tire him out, maybe even get up on the ball and run a little bit of no huddle, try to speed this thing up a little bit, may help us out. But whoever he goes against, man, he's a big time player for a reason.
Yeah, he right now via Pro Football Focus, he has the highest grade among all defensive tackles in the NFL at 90.8. And he has the second highest graded pass rush in the league, 90.8. So this is a guy that they're going to have to deal with a lot. But also dealing off of that, you'd think that maybe pass efficiency, is what's going to determine this outcome. I got to look at some stats here. Tennessee has the lowest pass yards per game in the league in terms of giving them up. Cam Ward has the lowest completion percentage amongst quarterbacks. He's only completing less than 52% of his passes. And Geno Smith, he leads the league in with 9 interceptions. From a receiver, let me have you put your receiver hat on here. How excited are you then to be a guy that could potentially tilt this game?
Oh, you're always excited to do that, and especially once you watch film and you're looking at their back end and you're saying, okay, we could take advantage of these corners or these certain situations. And they got good players. I'm a big fan of Ladarius Sneed and those boys up there. But when you watch them play and they really can't score on offense, that we're going to have some chances to take some shots down the field, to be explosive, to be able to really throw this football. That's always exciting. So hopefully Geno Smith can get them boys going and we can make some plays. And like I said, even if they're short, Jacoby will catch one of these hitches and take it 20 yards. He'll break a tackle. Even if it's short, let's just get the ball into these playmakers' hands.
James, looking forward to seeing which Raiders team actually shows up on Sunday, and I'm sure you're more than happy to see which team shows up as well, because I'm always happy to share some thoughts with you too. So thank you for stopping by, as always.
Appreciate you, my brother.
All right, we'll see you soon. Coming up, we've got an interview with one of the Raiders' hardest hitters, safety Jeremy Chinn. He's next.
It's game day, the day we've been waiting for. And this is more than just a game. It's a passion, a lifestyle. It's time to suit up, Raider Nation. This is Raiders football, where we all bleed silver and black. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. Here at the Raider Image, you're part of our team. Every hat, every piece of gear. Let your loyalty show out. Whether you're in the stands or cheering from home, we've got your back. Feel the confidence, own the game.
We We
are the Raider Image. Your game, your gear. Exclusively at the Raider Image.
The regular season and one in the playoffs in his career, and Okoye really gets banged back at the 14, and who else could do that but Atwater?
Jones took his man in motion to the left. He throws, it's an open receiver. Doolin, he drilled and hung on to it at the Raiders 40. Jeremy Chinn drilled him around the shoulder pads.
Matlock in front of Hampton. He swarmed of the Raiders. Came right off the edge and made a third down stop. Jeremy Chinn.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Upon Further Review. And my next guest here, you didn't even flinch when you saw that, Jeremy. All these highlights of big hits, not only by you, but Uncle Steve, Steve Atwater. You don't even flinch. You just sit there and you kind of watch those things. I mean, what's going through your mind when you're watching those big hits?
No, that was pretty cool. Those I mean, great memories, of course. But no, that's cool. That's kind of how I like to, impact the game in a way. So just, bringing my physical dominance to the game.
When you're out there and you're playing safety, and you're kind of a hybrid, I guess, coming into the box so much and playing kind of a linebacker role, what goes into the mentality, the physicality of laying a big hit on somebody? How much of that is mental? How much of that is physical? How much of that is desire? I mean, the total package. Or how would you describe getting ready and actually doing the big hit like you did in Indianapolis this weekend?
Yeah, I would say it's a combination of the physical part, the mental part, but also just kind of the anticipation and kind of understanding what's going on around you.
We were talking earlier about where we were from, and I'm from this area, Southern California. And in high school, long time ago, our hype video was the NFL Crunch Course, Lawrence Taylor's NFL Crunch Course. So we would watch hits like that all the time. Yeah. Do you guys still do that at this level, or is that just already ingrained in you?
I think it's already ingrained. I feel like the game has changed so much as far as just like the hits like that you saw my uncle do, you know what I'm saying, and some of the hits that I have now. Because, I mean, it really is a skill as far as like keeping your head out of it and making a clean hit. I feel like back in the day it was a little bit more encouraged, like when you watch certain guys make tackles and make certain hits and guys getting knocked out and stuff like that.
Raiders have had a reputation for hard hitters through the years, and you're 5 games into your Raiders career, but already putting together a highlight package or highlight reel of things like that. How much pride do you take in that, in sense of the big hit versus being in pass coverage?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's cool when you think about just Raiders football. Like you said, I mean, it's in the history. So I guess being a part of that now, through 5 games is pretty cool. We're just gonna keep it going.
So speaking of high school, not a very happy homecoming, I guess, for you to go back to Indianapolis this past weekend, 40-6, and it's not something you really want to talk about or whatever. But how I guess on the positive end of that, how easy, how hard is it to get past what just happened this weekend? Look at the tape and keep rolling forward, because as I kind of think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like every NFL game is a season into itself. Yeah, you learn from it, you move on. How do you learn? What do you guys learn from that? Because the way you guys started on defense, a 3-and-out. And then you look up, and all of a sudden, it's 6 straight touchdown drives at the Colts score. What do you learn from that?
I mean, I think that's the beauty of the NFL. Is like there's such a quick turnaround, and everything could change in a week. Like if we go out, handle our business this week of practice, and then go out and have a great game on Sunday, everybody's perspective on us and everybody's mentality just changes. So I think we just have to, continue to take the next step. We deal with Sunday for the rest of the day, and then on Monday we make our corrections, and then we're able to move past it.
When I was in that locker room after the game, it seemed guys were just as confused as they were angry. How would you have described that locker room after that game in Indy?
I was more angry than anything. Yeah. Just because I look at myself first and foremost, and I mean outside of that hit and
that's a good one,
and a few tackles. I feel I definitely could have played a lot better and should have played a lot better. But like I said, that's the beauty of NFL football is like you get another chance. I get another chance today in practice.
So you didn't just have a few tackles. You had 10 tackles. You led the game in tackles. And on the season, your 32 tackles are second on the team. And a lot of people would say, well, if you have a safety up near the top leading the team in tackles, that's probably not a good sign for what's going on up front. But you're a unique situation because you're playing up in the box so much. How would you describe your role to fans that are trying to figure out exactly what's going on defense?
Just kind of like a chess piece. You know, I can play, whether it be deep in coverage, playing half safety or post safety, or also come down on the line of scrimmage and almost be like a defensive end, or in that linebacker spot. So whether affecting the run game, the pass game, you know, I take a lot of pride in just kind of being, you know, that versatile piece.
Is that something you've always been able to do going back to high school outside of Indianapolis, or is this something that you've just kind of honed your skills through college and in the NFL?
Yeah, I would say more of a transition through college, because when I was in high school, I played cornerback and running back, so I wasn't too much.
That's a big cornerback.
Yeah.
Obviously, you weren't as physically big.
Nah, not at all.
Height-wise, I mean, how did those skills from offense again transition to what you're doing on defense?
I would say as a running back, I mean, it's pretty similar. Like just finding those holes, like same way as a linebacker or, you know, a second level player, you're trying to find that open hole and where the back's going to hit and just kind of anticipate.
The position group here for you could potentially be getting Lonnie Johnson back here in a few weeks. They haven't opened the window up for him to practice yet or anything, but what could he bring to that secondary, specifically the safeties and that back end for you guys?
I mean, he was with us all through training camp, all through OTAs, and I feel like our defense was really clicking with him back there, just as far as, one, the communication aspect and everybody just being on the same page, but also just another versatile player who can, you know, another big body who can fit the run and play in different levels of defense as well.
Looking forward now, you got the Titans coming in. People would say, well, I don't know if there's ever such a thing as a must-win game at this point of a season, but it's a great opportunity for you guys to get some things going. When you look at that Titans team, and you look at, they've got the number 1 overall draft pick, Cam Ward. What do you see from him? What's your scouting report on him?
Yeah.
Do you need to be a spy on him? Is he a guy that really hasn't shown things much yet? What do you see from Cam Ward?
He's very talented.
Yeah.
You know, he can throw the ball. He has the ability to run the ball as well and scramble, but you know, for a young quarterback who has that ability, he does a really good job of sitting in the pocket, and when he scrambles, he's still looking to pass the ball. So, I mean, like I said, he's talented. He can make every throw. So, you know, I'm excited for the matchup.
What about the other guys on that offense?
Tony Pollard is a really good running back. I played against him a few times, dating back to college. But back in his Dallas days, he's been back in the league for a while. Calvin Ridley is another guy I've played, you know, multiple times in the league. And their tight end is very talented as well. So they got a lot of good pieces on their offense, so it'll be a good matchup for us.
And then for you guys to be able to get home and get that taste out of your mouth from what happened in Indianapolis, I mean, how important is that for you to just get on the field, and especially at home with the home field advantage, and just keep it going that way? What should fans look for from you guys in terms of being able to turn that page?
Yeah, just a hungry team, a team that's not going to stop working. Like I said, we get to turn the page, and it starts today with our preparation and everything. So, I mean, I'm just excited to get out on the practice field. So just kind of like wipe Sunday away and get a new slate.
So if you're just listening to this and you're not being able to watch the video portion of this, Jeremy's showing more emotion right now, talking about how excited he is to get forward than he was seeing those hits early. What's Thanksgiving like with Uncle Steve when you're talking about big hits? I mean, do you guys compare hits? Do you talk about hits? Is that even something that you even know about with him?
No, of course. Like I grew up watching his highlights on YouTube and everything. But he's just been a great resource for me. You know, anytime I can, you know, just call him and pick his brain about anything, he's always there. So, you know, I really appreciate that. I feel like I kind of have an advantage that not a lot of guys have, you know, having a Hall of Fame uncle. So it is pretty cool.
And even though he was a Bronco, Raider fans are going to have to get over that, I guess, right?
Yeah, they'll be all right. That's greatness. They'll be okay.
Awesome. Jeremy, thank you so much for stopping by. I know you got to get ready for the Titans this week and get onto it with the preparation and everything. But thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you.
Coming up next, Cynthia Frelund. She's here with her numbers to know.
Welcome to the dark side.
Going up.
Meet Max Out. He's a credit wrecker. His eyes are bigger than his wallet. And his credit score pays the price. You see, Max doesn't know he should only use 30% or less of his credit limit, because using his full line can lower his score. Don't be like Max Out. Instead, learn how to avoid the wreckers at creditwreckers.com. Credit One Bank, for what's ahead.
Pete will not only have to keep the faith, but keep the locker room tuned in.
our defense have done good with such change and getting them the ball back.
But when you look at the guys who forced the most missed tackles, he is already number 3 in the league.
Hey, welcome back to Upon Further Review. I'm Paul Gutierrez, and joined as always by Cynthia Frelund. And Cynthia breaks down the numbers that no one can possibly do. But Cynthia, before we get into your numbers, to know that the Raiders are coming off a very disappointing loss at Indianapolis. But as tough as that is, they've got just as big an opportunity coming up with the Titans. Having said that, let's chew on some numbers first before we get into your stats. When it comes down to third down defense, the Raiders, they are allowing teams to convert on third down at almost a 46% clip. That's ranks 28th in the NFL. The Titans, on the flip side, their offense, they're only converting at a 29% rate. That's the worst rate in the NFL. How do you see this thing kind of playing out? I mean, is it good for the Raiders? Is it bad for the Titans? I mean, or is it a combination of both?
Both, I would think, is a good answer right there.
Yeah.
Can I take both? When I'm looking at what's going wrong with the offense for the Titans, it's really the trenches. The O-line is not being very helpful to Cam Ward. The amount of sacks he's taken already. I mean, he was going at a historic pace there until about 2 weeks ago when it sort of slowed down like a little bit. But it's not great to be under that much pressure, especially when, as you're adjusting from the college picture to the NFL picture, the defense now just comes at you so fast. I'm not even sure exactly what he's able to see, let alone to have a little bit of time. It's not like his receiving core is, killing it with names that are, just making it really easy on him either. So it's a very difficult circumstance. It's a very difficult O-line, and it's a very difficult opportunity for Cam Ward.
So when I'm looking at the Raiders defense in particular, though, at Indianapolis, they come out of the gate fast. 3 and out to start the game. And then you look up, and it's 6 straight possessions resulting in touchdowns for the Colts, which at the end of the day helps. The Raiders allowed 80% on third down conversions to the Colts. How do they tighten that thing up against the Titans?
Well, to be fair, many teams have had this same problem when they face the Colts. The Raiders are not the first or the last team this season that have had to deal with the combination of a great O-line, Jonathan Taylor, and Daniel Jones actually being able to play with a little bit of time in the pocket, God forbid. I'm thinking about we were talking about, nationally, we talk about the lack of punts for the Colts this season. So again, it is not just the Raiders who have had this problem. It is everyone, that they faced. Even the Rams they faced that with. That was kind of a self-inflicted wound when the Colts left. So I actually think that the Colts are a very good team and a surprise good team because of how balanced they are. Now the Titans, they are not anywhere near as balanced. They do not get the push from their run game. They do not get the help in the trenches. They do not get the accuracy of a quarterback like Daniel Jones has been able to provide for the Colts. It's a completely different scheme, a completely different opportunity. I mean, I hate when people go back and say, did the Titans win that game or did the Cardinals lose that game? But I do actually, it was a strange series of events where basically Tyler Lockett, go watch the end of the game if you have not seen it, anyone watching. It was just a strange turn of events. I wouldn't say that the offense was just like humming and firing on all cylinders and just looking so great and diced up the Cardinals. It was more some madness that happened, which, by the way, there's madness every week. It's the NFL, but sure. that was a strange. It wasn't because they suddenly got super efficient on their offense.
I'm looking at the numbers here, and I'm also seeing a potential recipe for disaster for the Raiders in terms of turnovers, the turnover battle. The Raiders are the second highest in giveaways this season with 10. 9 interceptions, the most in the league by Geno Smith. They've lost the fumble. Geno threw 2 interceptions last week again. I guess you could make the case either one wasn't his fault. It was a tip pass. The other one, a receiver ran the wrong route. Okay, but it is. Tennessee, meanwhile, they're tied for 5th in takeaways this season with 8. How do the Raiders win that battle?
Well, some takeaways come because you're getting like a better formula for takeaways, a scarier formula for takeaways is when you're really getting a lot of pressure on opposing offenses. And this Tennessee defense, they are not 7th lowest pressure rate allowed at sub 30%. They're not really sacking quarterbacks. So, in the same way that you could argue that, the 2 picks last week on Geno were not necessarily his fault or not completely his fault. Sometimes interceptions are lucky in that regard, meaning that, maybe you have to go back and watch all the situations in which the picks happened. And it's usually a better sign when interceptions are coupled with pressure. That's more of like less luck and more by scheme. But this one feels a little bit more like, I'm not going to say luck, but like a more like being able to take advantage of a situation where quarterbacks will throw interceptions. You can't expect someone to throw 0 interceptions. You can't expect, something to go to be perfect. There's going to be tipped balls. There's going to be weird stuff that happens. There's going to be wrong routes run. But I just find it to be a more sticky stat when there is a defensive front, and a lot of pressure to back it up.
Yeah, and like you said, there's always going to be turnovers. There's going to be takeaways. It's just a matter of how do you win that battle of attrition. For you, though, I know you have a very specific number to know when it comes to the Raiders, and I have a feeling it has something to do with completion percentage. What's your number to know?
It does. It's 70.3. That is the completion percentage that this Titans defense has allowed. That is 5th highest in terms of the entire league, and they've given up 30 passes that have gained 15 or more yards. That's 8th most. So explosive passes, those are the ones where you're breaking the game open. You're not just earning a first down, but you're potentially putting yourself in a situation to kick a field goal. They've allowed that to happen. So between less pressure, we talked about that, and the better opportunity to complete passes, that means a better opportunity for Geno Smith to end up on the right side of that interception situation and the right side of the touchdown to interception ratio.
Cynthia, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks so much.
So this week is the 14th anniversary of the passing of Al Davis, and here at Silver and Black Productions, we'd like to share this tribute video in honor of the late Raiders owner and his continued impact, not only on the organization, but the NFL as a whole.
The desire to be a winner, the desire to live up to the reputation of a Raider. A Raider is a fighter, a scrapper. Al Davis brought that to the team.
I love Al Davis.
Football genius and trailblazer.
He was like a father, he's like a friend.
World champion, Hall of Famer.
He loved his players. He took care of them.
When Al Davis came to town, he did everything. He coached every phase of the game, almost like a one-man coach. Always looking for the big play, always looking downfield.
Now watch one of the really big plays of the year. Tom Flores and Dobie Craig hook up on a record-setting 93-yard play to make it 14-7 Raiders.
In 1963, we were the second-best team in the league at the end of that year. Incredible turnaround.
The growth of the American Football League has been a dynamic one. I want you to know that this is your team, and I hope you'll grow with us as we grow.
First of all, he saved the American Football League because what he did in those short 5 or 6 months in New York, where he started signing the players from the National Football League, because of Pete Gogolak, transformed the National Football League into making peace with the American Football League. He brought about the real merger between the two leagues.
Al was a great owner, and he had the confidence in us in Super Bowl 11.
Here it is, the Raiders closing in on the Super Bowl championship. John Madden goes on the shoulders of his players.
I was happy for John Madden. I was happy, most of all, for Al Davis.
Mr. Davis expected you to perform. And in that 80 season, we really started believing in ourselves. We're going to Super Bowl.
Throws on the move, and it's caught by King at the 40. Gets it up to the 50. He'll go all the way. Nobody knows. To the 20, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown Raiders.
Your commitment to excellence and your will to win will endure forever. You were magnificent.
The Raiders moved to Los Angeles. He was one of a kind. He did it his way.
He brought this team together, pieces by pieces, and made a championship team.
Theismann back, looks off to the left, and he fires it out there. Intercepted! Jack Squirrel! Touchdown Raiders! I don't believe it!
And you tell him one thing.
Just win.
Just win.
He's what the NFL need.
It took guys like Al Davis to make this league what it was today.
His legacy is that he built a very successful organization, and he built it with loyalty from his coaches, his team, his players.
Every year you hear a different story how he helped people. It's amazing. The stories go on and on and on, and what he's done for players that played for him, coaches, families, and you know what you find out, you know, he's your biggest supporter.
We lost a warrior. We lost a friend. We lost a big-time leader. The world of football I'm talking about now, not just the Raiders, the world of football. We lost somebody very special.
So if you covered this team long enough, you covered it back in the day, you had some sort of an interaction with Al Davis. So if you'll indulge me, I'd like to share an excerpt from the book I wrote with Lincoln Kennedy a few years ago, If These Walls Could Talk, about my interaction face-to-face with Mr. Davis. So I'll just read it. I call it the Wizard of Oz effect, where you see the man behind the curtain and inevitably you come away disillusioned. Ask any sports reporter worth their salt, and after reminding yourself to leave your childhood fandom at the door, they'll tell you that the worst thing you can do is to cover a team you grew up rooting for as a kid. Because you see, you'll see the man behind the curtain, warts and all. So yeah, Al Davis, he clowned me on live television. And true, my phone began blowing up immediately thanks to the early days of Twitter. But guess what? I take it as a badge of honor. First, some background. It was after the 2010 season finale when the Raiders beat the Chiefs to finish 8-8 and end 7 straight seasons of non-winning football, which prompted Coach Tom Cable to declare, "We're not losers anymore." I ran into Davis deep in the bowels of Arrowhead Stadium, and I actually congratulated him on the win and, well, for finishing 8-8. I don't think Davis even looked at me as he sneered up from his wheelchair. If that's the world you live in, yeah, that's where that quote came from. A few weeks later, though, when Cable was fired, I referenced the meeting in a story that I did to show that if you thought 500 was good enough for Davis to retain Cable, think again. Because in the press conference introducing Hugh Jackson as Cable's replacement, I asked Jackson, who had never been a head coach before, that with no CBA in place at the time to determine the status of free agents, how daunting was it for him with the team having 31 player contracts about to expire? Davis took the mic and he asked me about free agents. I answered there are 31 contracts expiring, staying away from the free agent definition. That's ridiculous, Davis said, again referencing free agents when I was talking about contracts. Really, I don't know who you are and I don't know who you represent, but that isn't even close to the truth. Your number, either way, is ridiculous. Boom. Later, when I asked another question, Davis smiled, and I swore he winked at me too. Oh, he knows who you are, a longtime Raiders employee told me later. He just didn't like you quoting him like that. Fair enough. Rest easy, Mr. Davis. Thank you for the memories. For more on the history and the legacy of Al Davis, be sure to log in to Raiders.com/Al. Well, that will do it for this week's edition of Upon Further Review. Many thanks to our guests, James Jones, Jeremy Chinn, and Cynthia Frelund. To stay up to date on all things silver and black, subscribe to our YouTube channel or check it all out on Raiders.com.